New Arrival. Part 1. New Arrival. The gleaming spires of Stellar Academy pierced the amber sky of Nova Prime, a testament to human perseverance on this distant colony world. Zara stood at the base of the main building, her eyes tracking the seamless blend of Earth architecture with alien flora. She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. To any casual observer, Zara appeared to be nothing more than a nervous human teenager on her first day at a new school. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she fidgeted with the strap of her backpack. But beneath this carefully constructed facade lay a secret that could shake the foundations of the galaxy. Zara wasn't human. She was celestial, a member of an ancient and powerful race that had watched over the cosmos for eons. Her mission on Nova Prime was simple: observe and report on human development in their farthest colony. What the Celestial High Council feared most was that humans, in their rapid expansion across the stars, might upset the delicate balance of the galaxy. As Zara climbed the steps to the Academy's entrance, she repeated the mantra that had been drilled into her during her preparation for this mission. Blend in. Don't stand out. Control your abilities at all costs. It was easier said than done. The power thrumming through her veins begged for release, a constant reminder of her true nature. The doors slid open with a soft hiss, revealing a bustling atrium filled with students of various ages. Zara's enhanced senses were immediately overwhelmed by the cacophony of voices, the mingled scents of hundreds of bodies, and the dazzling array of colors from uniforms and personal accessories. She forced herself to take slow, measured steps, mimicking the gait of the human teenagers around her. "Hey, new girl," a voice called out, cutting through the noise. Zara turned to see a tall, lanky boy with a shock of red hair grinning at her. "You look lost. Need a guide?" Zara hesitated. Her briefing had warned her about becoming too close to any individuals, but she also knew that isolating herself would draw unwanted attention. She opted for a middle ground. "That would be nice. Thank you. I'm Zara." "Alex," the boy replied, extending his hand. Zara shook it, careful to modulate her strength. "Welcome to Stellar Academy, where we prepare the best and brightest for life on the final frontier. Or so they tell us anyway." As Alex led her through the crowded hallways, pointing out key locations and explaining the basics of Academy life, Zara found herself genuinely intrigued. Humans, it seemed, had a remarkable capacity for adaptation. Here they were, millions of light years from their homeworld, and they had recreated the mundane rituals of education as if they were still on Earth. "And here's where you'll probably have your first class," Alex said, gesturing to a door labeled Xenobiology 101. "It's required for all new arrivals. Gotta know what's out there before you can survive it, right?" Zara nodded, suppressing a smile at the irony. If they only knew what was standing right beside them. As they turned a corner, Zora's senses suddenly prickled with danger. 3 older students were approaching, their body language radiating aggression. The leader, a muscular girl with close-cropped hair, locked eyes with Zara and sneered. Well," the girl said, her voice dripping with contempt. "Looks like we've got fresh meat. Earthborn, by the looks of it." Alex tensed beside Zara. "Back off, Kira. She's just trying to find her way around." Kira laughed, a harsh sound that set Zara's teeth on edge. "Aw, how sweet. The colony rat is defending the Earth girl. What's wrong, sweetheart? Can't speak for yourself." Zara felt a surge of anger, not at the insults, which meant little to her, but at the casual cruelty. She had observed this behavior in many species, but it never failed to disappoint her. She took a step forward, her eyes locked on Kira's. "I can speak for myself," Zara said, her voice calm but carrying an undercurrent of steel that made Kira blink in surprise. "And I'd appreciate it if you'd step aside. We all have classes to attend, I'm sure." For a moment, the hallway seemed to hold its breath. Kira's eyes narrowed, and Zara could sense the older girl's desire to reassert her dominance. But something in Zara's unwavering gaze gave her pause. "Whatever," Kira muttered, shoving past them. "You're not worth my time anyway." As Kira and her cronies retreated, Zara became aware of the whispers and stares from the other students who had witnessed the confrontation. She had wanted to blend in, and instead, she had drawn attention to herself on the very first day. Alex let out a low whistle. That was impressive. "I've never seen anyone stand up to Kira like that before." Zara shrugged, trying to downplay the incident. "I don't like bullies," she said simply. "Well, you've probably made yourself a target now," Alex warned. "Kira doesn't forget when someone stands up to her." As they continued towards their first class, Zara reflected on the encounter. She had known that maintaining her cover would be challenging, but she hadn't anticipated how difficult it would be to suppress her natural instincts. The urge to put Kira in her place, to demonstrate just how outclassed the bully truly was, had been almost overwhelming. The rest of the morning passed in a blur of introductions and orientations. Zara found the academic material laughably simple, given her vast knowledge, but she forced herself to appear attentive and occasionally uncertain. During a brief break between classes, she ducked into a quiet corner and closed her eyes, focusing on regulating her energy levels. The constant suppression of her true nature was more taxing than she had anticipated. "You okay?" Alex's voice startled her, and Zara's eyes snapped open. For a split second, before she could fully control herself, her irises flared with an unearthly blue light. Alex blinked and rubbed his eyes. "Whoa, must have been a trick of the light." Zara forced a laugh. "Yeah, must have been. I'm fine, just a little overwhelmed." "It's a lot to take in." Alex nodded sympathetically. "I get it. I was born here on Nova Prime, but I remember how tough it was for some of my Earthborn friends when they first arrived. Everything's just a little off, you know. The gravity, the air, the light. It takes some getting used to." If only he knew how right he was, Zara thought. Every molecule of her being was constantly adjusting, fighting against the urge to revert to her natural state. As they headed to their next class, a commotion near the academy's central courtyard caught their attention. A crowd had gathered, their excited voices carrying through the air. Alex grabbed Zara's arm. "Come on, let's check it out." Pushing their way through the throng of students, they found themselves at the edge of a holographic display. Above them, a three-dimensional map of the local star cluster shimmered in the air, with Nova Prime highlighted at its center. A stern-faced woman in a colonial administrator's uniform was addressing the crowd. "And so, in light of these recent developments, the Colonial Council has decided to accelerate our expansion efforts. We will be seeking volunteers for a new wave of colonization, pushing our boundaries even further into unexplored space." A ripple of excitement passed through the assembled students. Zara felt a chill run down her spine. This was exactly the kind of aggressive expansion that the Celestial High Council feared. She glanced at Alex and saw his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "Isn't it amazing?" he whispered. "We're living in a time of endless possibilities. Who knows what we'll discover out there?" Zara nodded mutely, her mind racing. She needed to report this development to her superiors, but how could she do so without blowing her cover? And more importantly, how would the Celestials respond to this acceleration of human expansion? As the crowd began to disperse, Zara caught sight of Kira watching her from across the courtyard. The bully's eyes were narrowed in suspicion, and Zara realized with a sinking feeling that her reaction to the announcement, or lack thereof, had not gone unnoticed. The rest of the day passed in a haze of conflicting emotions and carefully maintained facades. By the time the final bell rang, Zara was exhausted. The constant vigilance, the need to measure every word and action, was taking its toll. As she prepared to leave the academy grounds, Alex fell into step beside her. "So, what did you think of your first day at Stellar Academy?" Zara managed a small smile. "It was educational," she said, choosing her words carefully. "I have a feeling I'm going to learn a lot here." Alex laughed. "That's one way of putting it. Listen, A bunch of us are getting together tonight to celebrate the expansion announcement. Why don't you join us? It'll be a great way to meet more people." For a moment, Zara was tempted. The idea of simply being among others, of not having to constantly guard her words and actions, was appealing. But she knew she couldn't afford such luxuries, not with the weight of her mission pressing down on her. "Thanks, but I should probably get some rest," she said. "It's been a long day." Alex looked disappointed, but nodded in understanding. "No problem. Maybe next time. See you tomorrow, Zara." As she watched him jog off to join a group of waiting friends, Zara felt a pang of loneliness. She pushed it aside, reminding herself of the importance of her mission. She was here to observe, to gather information that could shape the future of human-celestial relations. Personal connections were a luxury she couldn't afford. But as she made her way to the small apartment that had been arranged for her cover identity, Zora couldn't shake the feeling that her mission had just become far more complicated. The humans of Nova Prime were not content to simply survive on their new world. They were thriving, pushing boundaries, driven by an insatiable curiosity about the universe around them. And Zara, caught between two worlds, would have to navigate the treacherous waters ahead, balancing her duty to her people with the growing appreciation she felt for the indomitable spirit of humanity. As she entered her Spartan living quarters, Zora allowed herself a moment of true relaxation. Her form shimmered, briefly revealing her true celestial nature, a being of pure energy and light, before she regained control and solidified back into her human guise. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities for discovery, and new threats to her cover. But for now, in the quiet of her room, Zora allowed herself to hope that somehow she could find a way to bridge the gap between her people and the humans she was coming to admire. With a sigh, she began to compose her first report to the Celestial High Council, knowing that her words could shape the destiny of two civilizations. The true test of her mission on Nova Prime was just beginning. Rising tensions. The weeks following Zora's arrival at Stellar Academy flew by in a whirlwind of classes, social interactions, and covert observations. As she settled into her role as a seemingly ordinary human student, Zara found herself increasingly fascinated by the complexity of human nature. The same species capable of bullying and pettiness also demonstrated remarkable kindness, creativity, and resilience. One crisp morning, as Nova Prime's amber sun peeked over the horizon, Zara stood at the window of her small apartment, lost in thought. Her latest report to the Celestial High Council lay unfinished on her desk, the words refusing to come easily. How could she adequately convey the nuances of human behavior? The Council's binary view of species as either threats or non-threats seemed woefully inadequate in the face of what she was experiencing. A soft chime from her communication device broke her reverie. It was a message from Alex, reminding her of the day's field trip to one of Nova Prime's terraforming stations. Zara felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. While she was eager to see more of this world, she knew that extended time away from the controlled environment of the Academy would test her ability to maintain her human facade. As Zara made her way to the Academy's transport hub, she spotted Kira and her gang lounging near the entrance. The bully's eyes narrowed as Zara approached, but she made no move to confront her. Instead, Kira whispered something to her friends, eliciting snickers and pointed looks in Zora's direction. "Don't let them get to you," Alex said, appearing at Zora's side. "Kira's just jealous because you're not intimidated by her." Zara nodded, grateful for Alex's constant support. Over the past weeks, he had become something dangerously close to a friend, despite her best efforts to maintain emotional distance. "I'm not worried about Kira," Zara replied, which was true enough. Her concerns lay far beyond the petty machinations of a school bully. As the class boarded the hover transport, their xenobiology teacher, Dr. Patel, began outlining the day's itinerary. "Today, you'll witness firsthand the incredible work being done to make Nova Prime more habitable for human life," she explained, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. The terraforming process is a delicate balance of introducing Earth-like elements while preserving the unique ecosystem of this world. Zara listened intently, fascinated by the humans' determination to reshape an alien world to suit their needs. It was both impressive and troubling. As the transport hummed across the rugged landscape, she found herself wondering what the original inhabitants of Nova Prime, now long extinct, would think of these changes. The terraforming station loomed on the horizon, a massive complex of domes and towers that stood in stark contrast to the rusty plains surrounding it. As they disembarked, Zara felt a sudden surge of energy coursing through her body. Something about this place was affecting her celestial nature, making it harder to maintain her human form. "You okay?" Alex asked, noticing her discomfort. "You look a little pale." Zara forced a smile. "I'm fine, just a bit overwhelmed by the scale of it all." As Dr. Patel led the group through the station, explaining the various processes and technologies involved in terraforming, Zara found herself growing increasingly uneasy. The air inside the complex was thick with a mixture of familiar Earth gases and alien compounds, creating a chaotic swirl that her celestial senses struggled to process. "And here," Dr. Patel said, gesturing to a massive chamber filled with swirling, multicolored mists, "is where we cultivate the microorganisms that will help transform Nova Prime's atmosphere. These little creatures are the unsung heroes of our colonization efforts." Zara stepped closer to the observation window, mesmerized by the dance of colors within. Suddenly, a sharp pain lanced through her head, causing her to stagger backward. For a moment, her control slipped and her hand flickered with celestial energy. "Zara!" Alex exclaimed, reaching out to steady her. "What's wrong?" Before she could respond, Kira's mocking voice cut through the concerned murmurs of the other students. "Looks like Earth Girl can't handle real science. Maybe she should have stayed in her pollution-choked cities." Anger flared within Zara, not just at the insult, but at the casual dismissal of Earth's struggles. Without thinking, she whirled to face Kira, her eyes flashing with an otherworldly light. "You have no idea what you're talking about," she snapped, her voice resonating with a power that made everyone in the room take a step back. For a moment, silence reigned. Zara realized her mistake immediately and struggled to rein in her abilities. But the damage was done. She could see the shock and confusion on Alex's face, the suspicion in Dr. Patel's eyes, and the fear poorly masked behind Kira's bravado. I'm not feeling well," Zara muttered, pushing past the group and hurrying towards the exit. She needed air, space, anything to help her regain control. Outside the complex, Zara leaned against the cool metal wall, taking deep breaths of Nova Prime's thin atmosphere. She had come so close to exposing herself, to failing in her mission before it had truly begun. The sound of footsteps made her tense, preparing for confrontation. "Zara." It was Alex, his voice filled with concern and confusion. "What happened in there?" "Your eyes. They were different." Zara's mind raced, searching for a plausible explanation. It's a rare condition," she lied, hating herself for the deception. "Sometimes, under stress, my eyes can change color. It's harmless, just embarrassing." Alex studied her for a long moment, and Zara feared he could see right through her facade. Finally, he nodded slowly. "Okay, but there's more going on with you, isn't there? You're not just some ordinary transfer student." Before Zara could formulate a response, alarms began blaring from within the complex. Red emergency lights bathed the landscape in an eerie glow as panicked voices echoed from inside. Dr. Patil burst through the doors, her face pale. "There's been a containment breach in the microbial chamber," she gasped. "We need to evacuate immediately. Those organisms weren't ready for exposure to Nova Prime's atmosphere. The results could be catastrophic." As chaos erupted around them, with students and staff rushing to the transports, Zara stood rooted to the spot. She knew she could help, could use her celestial abilities to contain the outbreak. But doing so would mean exposing herself, potentially jeopardizing not just her mission but the delicate balance between humans and Celestials. Alex grabbed her arm, trying to pull her towards safety. "Zara, come on. We have to go." But Zara's eyes were fixed on the swirling clouds of microorganisms, now visible through the complex's windows, spreading rapidly in the alien air. She made her decision in a heartbeat. "Alex, get everyone as far away as possible," she said, her voice steady with resolve. "I can help, but you can't watch. Please, trust me." Before Alex could protest, Zara broke free of his grip and raced back into the complex. As the doors sealed behind her, she let her human disguise fall away. Her body shimmered and transformed, becoming a being of pure energy and light. With her true powers unleashed, Zara set to work. She manipulated the energy fields within the complex, creating barriers to contain the microorganisms. Her celestial knowledge allowed her to rapidly analyze the mutating life forms, finding ways to neutralize their harmful effects on Nova Prime's delicate ecosystem. Outside, Alex and the others watched in awe as the windows of the complex filled with blinding light. Strange energies crackled around the building, and for a moment, it seemed as if the very fabric of reality was bending. When it was over, when the alarms fell silent and the emergency lights faded, Zara emerged from the complex. She had managed to resume her human form, but she was visibly drained, her disguise imperfect. Her skin shimmered faintly, and her eyes still held traces of their true, star-like nature. The gathered humans stared at her in stunned silence. Dr. Patel was the first to speak, her voice barely above a whisper. What are you?" Zara looked at the faces around her. Alex's mixture of awe and hurt, Kira's open-mouthed shock, the varied expressions of fear and wonder on her classmates. She knew that everything had changed. Her mission, her identity, the future of human-celestial relations, it all hung in the balance. Taking a deep breath, Zara straightened her posture and let a hint of her true nature shine through. "I am not your enemy," she said, her voice carrying the weight of stars. "But we have much to discuss." As Nova Prime's amber sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the plains, Zara knew that the real challenges were only beginning. The humans of Stellar Academy had glimpsed the truth of the cosmos, and nothing would ever be the same. The delicate dance of secrecy and revelation, of duty and growing attachment, had reached a tipping point. In the fading light, with questions hanging heavy in the air, Zara prepared herself for what was to come. The next steps she took would shape not just her fate, but potentially the future of two civilizations. As the first stars appeared in the alien sky, she allowed herself a moment of hope that understanding could be reached, that the indomitable spirit of humanity could find common ground with the ancient wisdom of the Celestials. The true test of her mission, and of humanity's readiness for the wider galaxy, was about to begin. The revelation. The journey back to Stellar Academy was tense with an uneasy silence. Zara sat alone at the rear of the transport, acutely aware of the stolen glances and whispered conversations around her. Alex, usually a constant presence at her side, had chosen a seat near the front. His back rigid with what Zara sensed was a mixture of confusion and betrayal. As the transport hummed through the deepening twilight of Nova Prime, Zara's mind raced. Her carefully constructed mission lay in ruins, exposed by a moment of compassion and urgency. Now she faced not only the judgment of these humans, but also the potential wrath of the Celestial High Council. She had violated their most sacred rule: non-interference. The Academy's central plaza was abuzz with activity when they arrived. News of the incident had clearly preceded them. A crowd of students, faculty, and what appeared to be colonial security personnel had gathered, their faces a mix of curiosity, fear, and anticipation. As Zara stepped off the transport, a hush fell over the assembly. She straightened her posture, allowing a faint aura of her true nature to shimmer around her. If she was to face this, she would do so with the dignity befitting a celestial. "Ms. Zora, A stern voice called out. Colonial Administrator Vega, a tall woman with steel-gray hair and eyes that seemed to cut through pretense, stepped forward. I believe you owe us all an explanation. Zara nodded, her gaze sweeping across the gathered crowd. She saw Dr. Patel, still looking shaken from the events at the terraforming station. Kira and her gang huddled together, their usual bravado replaced by wide-eyed uncertainty. And there was Alex, his expression a complex tapestry of emotions that Zara couldn't fully decipher. My name is Zara, she began, her voice carrying clearly across the plaza. But I am not human. I am a celestial, a member of an ancient race that has watched over the cosmos for eons. A ripple of gasps and murmurs swept through the crowd. Zara continued, her words measured and clear. I was sent here to observe humanity's progress on Nova Prime, to assess your readiness for the wider galactic community. Are you saying we're not alone in the universe? A voice called out from the crowd. It was one of her classmates, a young boy whose name Zara couldn't recall in that moment. Far from it, Zara replied, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. The galaxy teems with life, with civilizations both younger and far older than humanity. The Celestials, my people, have taken it upon ourselves to guide, and when necessary, protect the balance of life in the cosmos. Administrator Vega's eyes narrowed. And what gives your people the right to judge us, to decide our fate in this galaxy? It was a fair question, one that Zara had grappled with herself. It is not about right, she explained. It is about responsibility. The Celestials possess knowledge and power beyond your current understanding. We have seen civilizations rise and fall, watched as unchecked expansion led to conflict and destruction on a galactic scale. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. But we are not infallible. My time here, among you, has shown me that there is much about humanity that we may have misjudged. Alex finally spoke up, his voice tight with emotion. So everything, our friendship, it was all just part of your mission. Zara felt a pang in her chest, a very human sensation of regret and sorrow. No, Alex, the mission was my purpose for coming here, but the connections I've made, the things I've learned about humanity, those are real. More real than I ever expected them to be. As if on cue, the sky above them lit up with a dazzling display of auroras, shimmering curtains of light that danced across Nova Prime's atmosphere. The assembled crowd gasped in awe, momentarily distracted from the drama unfolding before them. Zara's expression turned grave. That, she said, pointing to the sky, is a message from the Celestial High Council. They know what has happened here. They are displeased with my actions. Administrator Vega stepped forward, her posture tense. Are we in danger? Is this some kind of preemptive strike? Zara shook her head. No, it is a summons. For me. She took a deep breath, knowing that her next words would shape the future of human-celestial relations. But I will not answer it. Not yet. There is too much at stake, too much that needs to be explained and understood between our peoples. The plaza erupted in a cacophony of voices, questions, demands, expressions of fear and wonder. Zara raised her hand, and a wave of celestial energy rippled through the air, bringing a hushed silence. I know you have questions, fears, hopes. I will answer them all to the best of my ability. But first, you must understand the gravity of the situation. Humanity stands at a crossroads. Your expansion into the stars has not gone unnoticed. There are those among the Celestials who believe you are not ready for the responsibilities that come with being a spacefaring civilization. Dr. Patel stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her initial shock. What kind of responsibilities? What aren't we ready for? Zara's expression softened. The universe is vast and wondrous, Dr. Patel, but it is also dangerous. There are forces out there, both natural and sentient, that could pose existential threats to humanity. The Celestials have, for millennia, acted as silent guardians, steering young civilizations away from cataclysmic mistakes, like what happened at the terraforming station today. Alex interjected, a note of understanding creeping into his voice. Zara nodded. Exactly. What you witnessed today was a small example of the kind of catastrophes that can occur when a species meddles with forces they don't fully understand. Now imagine that on a galactic scale. A heavy silence fell over the plaza as the implications of Zara's words stank in. Administrator Vega, ever the pragmatist, broke the silence. So what happens now? You've exposed yourself, violated your mission parameters. Where does this leave us? And you. Zara squared her shoulders, her decision made. Now, we talk. We learn from each other. I will share with you knowledge of the cosmos, of the civilizations that await you among the stars. In return, I ask that you show the Celestials, that humanity is ready for the next step. She paused, her gaze sweeping across the assembled faces. I believe in your potential. I've seen your kindness, your creativity, your indomitable spirit. But I also witnessed your capacity for cruelty, your tendency towards short-sightedness. You stand on the brink of something magnificent, but the path forward is fraught with peril. As if to underscore her words, the auroras above intensified, swirling in complex patterns that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Zara knew it was another message from the High Council, a final warning. But she stood her ground. I am offering you a chance, she continued, her voice ringing with conviction. A chance to prove to the cosmos that humanity is ready to take its place among the stars. But it will not be easy. You will be tested, challenged in ways you cannot yet imagine. Alex stepped forward, standing beside Zara. His earlier hurt seemed to have given way to a fierce determination. We're not afraid of challenges, he said, his voice steady. Humanity has faced impossible odds before. We'll do it again. A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Even Kira, who had tormented Zara for weeks, nodded grudgingly. Administrator Vega studied Zara for a long moment before speaking. You understand that we cannot simply take your word for all of this. We will need proof, assurances. Zara nodded. Of course, I am prepared to demonstrate the extent of celestial knowledge and capabilities. But I warn you, much of what I can show you may seem like magic to your current level of scientific understanding. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic, Dr. Patel quipped, a spark of excitement in her eyes. I believe Arthur C. Clarke said that. It seems he was more prescient than he knew. As the night deepened and Nova Prime's moons rose in the sky, casting an ethereal glow over the Academy, plans were made. Zara would be placed under observation, but given the freedom to continue her interactions with the students and faculty. A team of scientists, led by Dr. Patel, would work with her to document and study celestial knowledge. Administrator Vega would inform the Colonial Council, and through them, the governments of Earth about this monumental first contact. As the crowd began to disperse, each person grappling with the paradigm-shifting revelations of the night, Alex approached Zara. I'm still processing all of this, he said, his voice low. But I want you to know, I'm glad you're here, that you chose to stay. Zara felt a warmth blossom in her chest, a very human sensation that she was growing increasingly fond of. Thank you, Alex. Your friendship, it means more to me than I can express. As they stood there, an alien and a human united by an unlikely bond, Zara gazed up at the star-strewn sky. The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with challenges both known and unimaginable. But for the first time since she had arrived on Nova Prime, Zara felt a sense of true purpose. The Celestial and the humans of Stellar Academy had taken their first tentative steps towards understanding. Now they would face whatever came next together. Two civilizations reaching across the cosmic divide in the hopes of forging a brighter future for all. The true test of both humanity and the Celestials was about to begin. Turning the tide. Weeks passed in a whirlwind of revelation and adaptation. Stellar Academy had been transformed into a hub of interstellar diplomacy and scientific discovery. Zara found herself at the center of it all, dividing her time between sharing carefully selected celestial knowledge with Dr. Patel's team and continuing her studies alongside her human classmates. The auroras that had lit up Nova Prime's sky on the night of Zara's revelation had faded, but the tension they represented remained. The Celestial High Council's silence was deafening, and Zara knew it was only a matter of time before they made their move. On a crisp morning, as Zara was explaining the basics of celestial energy manipulation to a rapt audience of scientists and students, alarms blared across the colony. Administrator Vega's voice crackled over the communication system, tense but controlled. "Attention all citizens of Nova Prime. We have detected multiple unidentified objects entering our solar system at incredible speed. They will reach our orbit within the hour. This is not a drill. All non-essential personnel are to report to designated shelters immediately." The room erupted in a panic, but Zara's voice cut through the chaos. "It's them," she said, her eyes gleaming with a mix of anticipation and dread. "The Celestial High Council has made its decision." Alex, who had become her stalwart ally in the weeks since her revelation, stepped forward. "What do we do?" Zara's mind raced. She had hoped for more time, more opportunity to show the Council the true potential of humanity. But now, faced with imminent confrontation, she realized that this crisis might be the very proving ground they needed. "We stand together," Zara declared, her voice ringing with determination. "Humans and Celestial, united in the face of this challenge." Administrator Vega burst into the room, her usually impeccable appearance slightly disheveled. "Zara, we need answers. What are we facing?" Zara closed her eyes, reaching out with her celestial senses. "They've sent an arbitration fleet. 3 celestial Orcs, each capable of reshaping a planet's entire ecosystem in a matter of hours. They're here to judge humanity's worthiness and to deliver their verdict." Dr. Patel, who had been furiously typing on her datapad, looked up with wide eyes. "Our long-range scans are picking them up now. The energy readings, they're off the charts." Zara nodded grimly. "The Orcs are powered by the same energy that flows through all Celestials. In the wrong hands, they could devastate entire star systems. So what's the plan?" Alex asked, his jaw set with determination. "We can't just sit here and wait for judgment." A spark of inspiration flashed in Zara's eyes. "No, we can't. And we won't." She turned to Administrator Vega. "I need access to your most advanced communication array. And I need volunteers, the brightest minds and the bravest hearts among your people." As the colony mobilized, Zara outlined her daring plan. They would use Nova Prime's terraforming technology, augmented by Zora's celestial knowledge, to create a massive planet-wide transmission array. With it, they would broadcast a message not just to the approaching Orcs, but to every corner of the galaxy. "We're going to show them who humanity really is," Zara explained as technicians and volunteers scurried around them, repurposing terraforming equipment. "Not just your achievements, but your potential, your hopes, your dreams, your indomitable spirit." Alex, who had been helping to calibrate a massive energy conduit, paused to look at Zara. "And you think that will be enough to change their minds?" Zara's expression softened. "It has to be. Because the alternative is unthinkable." As the celestial Orcs drew nearer, their massive forms now visible in Nova Prime's sky, like new, ominous moons, the colonists raced against time. Dr. Patel's team worked feverishly to integrate Zara's celestial energy manipulation techniques into the colony's technology. Students from Stellar Academy, led by Alex, coordinated teams of volunteers across the planet's surface. Even Kira, who had maintained a wary distance from Zara since the revelation, stepped up. Her knowledge of Nova Prime's weather patterns proved invaluable in calibrating the planet-wide array. With minutes to spare, Zara took her position at the heart of the massive transmission complex they had built. Around her, humans of all ages and backgrounds stood ready, each connected to the array through a network of bio-neural interfaces hastily constructed using a fusion of human and celestial technology. "Remember," Zara said, her voice carried to every volunteer across the planet, "this isn't just about words. The Celestials will be able to sense the emotion, the intent behind our message. Show them who you truly are. Your fears, your hopes, your love for each other and for the universe itself." As the Orcs entered Nova Prime's atmosphere, their presence causing gravitational fluctuations that shook the very ground, Zora activated the array. Energy surged through the network, and Nova Prime itself became a beacon, broadcasting the collective consciousness of its human inhabitants to the cosmos. Images, thoughts, and emotions flooded the ethereal airways. Scenes of human history played out alongside visions of possible futures. The struggle and triumph of the Nova Prime colony, the hopes of students at Stellar Academy, the determination of scientists pushing the boundaries of knowledge, all of it mingled with Zora's own experiences among humans, her growing understanding and appreciation of their complexity. The celestial arcs, massive constructs of energy and matter that dwarfed the colony's largest structures, came to a halt in the sky above Nova Prime's capital. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, nothing happened. Then, a beam of pure energy lanced down from the lead arc, enveloping Zora. She felt the presence of the High Council in her mind, their collective consciousness probing, questioning, judging. Zara stood her ground, channeling not just her own convictions, but the hopes and determination of every human connected to the array. She showed the Council the true face of humanity. Flawed, yes, but also infinitely capable of growth, of compassion, of greatness. "They are ready," Zora projected, her thoughts resonating across the cosmic link. "Not perfect, not without risk, but ready to take their place among the stars. And we would be foolish to deny them that chance." The energy beam intensified, and for a terrifying moment, Zora feared she had failed. The raw power of the High Council threatened to overwhelm her, to brush aside her arguments and enact their original plan. But then she felt it, a surge of support, of pure human will, flowing through the network. Alex's unwavering friendship, Dr. Patel's insatiable curiosity, Administrator Vega's steady leadership, even Kira's begrudging respect, all of it poured into Zora, bolstering her strength. With a final, monumental effort, Zora pushed back against the High Council's judgment. "Look," she commanded, forcing them to see through her eyes, to feel through the countless human minds connected to the array. "Look and understand." The energy beam flickered, then dissipated. The arcs, which had hung in the sky like the sword of Damocles, began to ascend. As they retreated from Nova Prime's atmosphere, a new message spread across the colony's communication network. It was vast and alien, but Zara understood its meaning instantly. "We will be watching," the Celestial High Council proclaimed, "but we will not interfere. Humanity has earned its chance." As cheers erupted across the colony, Zara felt her knees buckle. The strain of channeling so much energy, of standing against the full might of the High Council, had taken its toll. But before she could fall, she felt strong arms supporting her. It was Alex, his face beaming with a mixture of awe and pride. "You did it," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "We did it." Zara managed a weak smile. "No, Alex. This was humanity's victory. I just helped you show your true selves to the universe." As the celebrations began in earnest, with colonists pouring into the streets and messages of jubilation flooding in from Earth and other human settlements, Zara gazed up at the sky. The celestial arcs were now just pinpricks of light, indistinguishable from the stars. She knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first, tentative steps onto the galactic stage. The path ahead would be filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. But looking at the faces around her, human faces alight with joy, pride, and an insatiable curiosity about what lay ahead, Zara felt a surge of hope. The Celestial and the humans of Nova Prime had faced their trial together and emerged stronger for it. Now, the true adventure could begin. A new understanding. The days following the Celestial Ark's departure were a whirlwind of activity on Nova Prime. The colony buzzed with a newfound energy, a sense of purpose and excitement that seemed to permeate every aspect of life. Humanity had faced its cosmic trial and emerged victorious, though many recognized that the real challenges were only beginning. Zara found herself at the center of it all, a bridge between two civilizations, tasked with helping humanity navigate its new role in the galactic community. As she stood on the balcony of the newly christened Interstellar Relations Center, overlooking the sprawling capital of Nova Prime, she reflected on how much had changed in such a short time. Credit for your thoughts. Alex's voice came from behind her. He joined her at the railing, his eyes taking in the bustling cityscape below. Zara smiled, a gesture that felt more natural with each passing day. I was just thinking about how far we've come, and how far we still have to go. Alex nodded, his expression thoughtful. It's overwhelming sometimes, isn't it? To think that just a few weeks ago, our biggest concern was passing exams at Stellar Academy. Speaking of which, Zara said, turning to face him, have you given any thought to the offer from the Galactic exchange program? Alex's eyes lit up with excitement. Are you kidding? The chance to be among the first humans to study on other worlds. I've already submitted my application. Zara felt a warmth in her chest, a very human sensation of pride and affection. You'll do amazing things out there, Alex. The universe won't know what hit it. Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Administrator Vega and Dr. Patel, both looking tired but satisfied. The Colonial Council has just approved the establishment of the Interstellar Diplomatic Corps, Vega announced, her usual stern demeanor softened by a hint of excitement. We'll be sending representatives to Earth and the other colonies to begin preparing humanity for its new role in the galaxy. Dr. Patel could barely contain her enthusiasm. And the scientific implications are staggering. The data we've gathered from the encounter with the Orcs alone will keep us busy for decades, not to mention the potential for collaborative research with other species. Zara listened to their plans and speculations, marveling at the human capacity for adaptation and growth. In just a short time, they had gone from fearing the unknown to embracing it wholeheartedly. There is much work to be done, Zara said, her voice taking on a tone of gentle warning. The galaxy is vast, and not always kind. There will be challenges ahead that will test the very foundations of human society. Vega nodded solemnly. We understand that, Zara. But thanks to you, we won't be facing those challenges unprepared or alone. As if on cue, the sky above Nova Prime shimmered with a familiar ethereal light, but unlike the ominous auroras that had heralded the arrival of the arbitration fleet, this display was softer, almost welcoming. The High Council, Zara breathed, her eyes wide with surprise. They're sending a message. The humans around her watched in awe as Zora's form shimmered, her human disguise falling away to reveal her true celestial nature. Energy coursed through her as she connected with the cosmic broadcast. When she spoke again, her voice resonated with otherworldly harmonics. They've reached a decision. The quarantine on human expansion is officially lifted. You are free to explore the stars, under guidance. The implications of this announcement were staggering. Humanity would not be left to fumble blindly into the cosmic unknown. Instead, they would have mentors, guides to help them navigate the complexities of galactic civilization. Under whose guidance? Alex asked, his voice a mixture of excitement and apprehension. Zara's form solidified back into her human appearance, a smile playing at her lips. Mine, for starters. The High Council has appointed me as the official celestial ambassador to humanity. It seems my unorthodox methods have earned me a unique position. The news was met with cheers and congratulations, but Zara raised a hand for silence. There's more. The Council has also extended an invitation. They wish to meet with a delegation from Earth and its colonies. It's time for humanity to take its seat at the cosmic table. The gravity of this invitation was not lost on anyone present. This wasn't just first contact. It was the beginning of humanity's integration into a vast, ancient community of civilizations. As the group began to excitedly discuss the logistics of assembling such a monumental delegation, Zara found her gaze drawn back to the sky. The shimmering lights were fading, but she could feel the watchful presence of her people. They would be observing, guiding, but no longer interfering directly. The future of humanity was now in its own hands. "So," Alex said, sidling up to her with a grin, "does this mean no more pop quizzes in xenobiology class?" Zara laughed, a sound full of genuine joy. "Oh no, those will be more important than ever, but I think we might need to update the curriculum a bit." As the sun began to set on Nova Prime, casting the city in a warm amber glow, Zara felt a profound sense of purpose. She had come to this world as an observer, a silent guardian tasked with judging humanity's readiness for the stars. She would leave it as something far greater, a friend, a teacher, and a bridge between worlds. The challenges ahead were immense. Humanity would face wonders and terrors beyond their wildest imaginations. They would make mistakes, perhaps even grave ones, but they would also achieve greatness, pushing the boundaries of knowledge and exploration in ways that even the Celestials might not foresee. And through it all, Zara would be there, walking the line between two worlds, helping to forge a future where humans and Celestials could stand together as equals in the cosmic tapestry. As the first stars began to twinkle in the darkening sky, Zara made a silent promise to herself and to the universe at large. She would guide, but not control. She would advise, but not dictate. She would be the hand reaching across the vastness of space, helping humanity to grasp its destiny among the stars. The story of Zara and Nova Prime was just the beginning. The true saga of humanity's cosmic journey was about to unfold, one star at a time. In the halls of Stellar Academy, in the chambers of the Colonial Council, and in the hearts of every human who looked up at the night sky with wonder, a new chapter was beginning. Humanity had been tested, and they had proven themselves worthy of the cosmos. As Zara stood among her human friends, watching Nova Prime's twin moons rise above the horizon, she felt a sense of boundless possibility. The universe, in all its infinite wonder and mystery, awaited. And together, celestial and human, ancient and young, wisdom and passion intertwined, they would meet it head-on. The end of this story was just the beginning of a greater one, a cosmic tale that would echo across the stars for eons to come.